This is an audio archive edition of WINA's Charlottesville Right Now with Coy Barefoot, made available online by the Charlottesville Podcasting Network, cvillepodcast.com.
The first decade of this century was one of significant decline for the United States. America became a debtor nation, a deficit nation, and a divided nation. This current decade will be the decisive one. The decisions made and the actions taken in it will determine the future of America and of the American dream. The new book is Renewing the American Dream, a citizen's guide for restoring our competitive advantage. Co-author Frank Islam joins me live on the program. Frank, it's an honor to have you with us.
Well, thank you very much. Quite appreciated that very much.
Let's start with where did the book come from? What's the motivation behind it? Why'd you write the book?
Well, I wrote a book out of the sense of responsibility to call citizens' attention to this crisis, because we believe that the many Americans do not grasp the gravity of the current situation. And you said it very well. We have become a deficit and divided nation. Our economic and social fabric is in tatters. And the American dream, as President Reagan always called the shining city on the hill, have begun to slip into the shadow. So what we need is a stronger agenda for the 21st century so that we can build and develop America for the future. We need to move forward. We believe that the American dream is at risk. We need to create jobs, and we need to invest in America. We need to bring jobs back from the overseas. We got to give tax incentive to the American manufacturer to build a plant right here in the United States and bring those jobs back to the United States.
Frank, let me ask you this, just as a bystander, somebody who's been watching this for years now. You have a nation that's making things, that's very powerful, and we have well-paying, good manufacturing jobs throughout America. And then we have this push throughout the 80s and the 90s that's all about, freeing government, freeing business and free market principles, and let business do what it wants to do, get government off the backs of business. And then next thing you know, the business rushes away from America in pursuit of cheap labor, and we give them tax credits to take their jobs overseas, and we lose all of these jobs, and all of a sudden you've got an America that has a very, very small wealthy class. And we're not making things anymore. We don't have those manufacturing jobs, and those jobs are not coming back, those particular jobs, and we know that. What are your thoughts on this, and what is the solution?
Well, let me talk a little about that. First of all, let me say this. We need the business leaders and private sector to step up, because they got close to about $2 trillion on their balance sheet, and they are very reluctant to invest in America because they think the Congress and the White House, they think they're not pro-business. You heard that.
Yeah.
We should not suppress the gripes and grievances. We should stop bashing the Wall Street. The business like less taxes, fewer constraints, less reforms, and less regulation. And that's why I'm recommending that we need to have less regulatory requirements. Talk a little bit about what you said about boost. We got to boost the export. We got to slow down imports. What we have right now is the export is really a lot less than we're supposed to be, stagnated. And so we need to double the export within 5 years. That will create a job. We also need to lower our labor costs and boost productivity. And we need to help the small business to export goods and services. So we got to boost the productivity. We got to remove the competitive barrier for businesses. We got to have less regulatory requirements. We got to have a tax reform. We got to get a support for education and research project. We need to bring those jobs back to the United States.
We're talking with Frank Islam. The new book is Renewing the American Dream, a citizen's guide for restoring our competitive advantage. Frank, explain to me what it is you think that what's working against business right now, doing what you're recommending that business does, investing in America again. Why are they holding back?
Because they don't have any incentive quite to invest in America. It's better for them to take this money. Let me give you an example to illustrate my point.
Yeah, please.
We gave billions and billions of dollars to General Motors not too long ago to bail them out, correct?
Right.
And guess what they did? They took our money, your money and my money, of $500 million and established a battery plant in China. That to me is just not fair, unacceptable, and as far as I will go and say that it's a crime. That should not happen. It is our money, it's American money. We should be spending in America. We should be creating jobs right over here. So what we have is really a situation they don't have an incentive to create jobs in America because it's better for them to boost their profit by getting a cheap labor in a foreign country. But if we can boost our productivity and reduce our labor costs, we'll be more competitive in the global world. As a matter of fact, Germany has done a great job. I was there about 2 weeks ago, and they have doubled their export. And they're also a westernized nation, and they have done extremely well. We can do that again. One of the things that I would like to talk about, Kwai, is about the increased lending to the small business. I came from a small business. We need to expand the small business, and we need to become once again the hotbed for a small business. A small business is the one that creates jobs. And I think whether you agree with me or not, we need to establish and extend the Bush tax cuts for another year. I think and one of the most important things that I want to talk a little about it, let us give 1 year payroll tax holidays for both employees and employers, so that the payroll tax is a tax on hiring labor. So if you give employees a year off, they're going to be more inclined to add workers and less inclined to lay worker hours, because the cost of keeping people on the payroll should be reduced. And we need to spur investment in targeted sectors such as green energy and renewable energy.
Well, let me ask you about that, because the government subsidizes current industries to the tune of multi billions of dollars, invest in fossil energies and coal and oil, and we make those industries possible with public money, and yet we're not seeing the same kind of thing going into the green sector, and so what are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's just not a level playing field, and
You're absolutely right. It is not a level playing field. We need to. I am an advocate of. We need to reignite the manufacturing sectors. Manufacturing used to be the backbone of our country. We need to bring those jobs back to the United States. We can do it. I also want to make the point that there are some problems over here in the Congress and the White House. The business leaders got to work together, and somehow they're not working together. We need to turn that around, the reputation that this administration has, the Congress has, so both sides can bury the hatchet, and both sides need to work together to create jobs for shared goals. And shared goals, really the shared venture, is to work together to create jobs in America.
We're talking with Frank Islam. The new book is Renewing the American Dream. Frank, take a moment, if you can, and share with us your story and some lessons you learned about business and lessons you learned about the American dream.
Well, I left India when I was 15 years old to pursue the American dream. I believe America, an American dream. I believe if you aim high, if you work hard, you should be able to pursue your dream. I'm a living example of American dream. Through hard work and initiative, I was able to build an information technology company from $100,000 to over $350 million in 12 years. I created 2,000 jobs, and I sold it to Ross Perot in 2007 for $250 million. Let me tell you, starting business is all about taking risk, being focused, being passionate, and being committed. It is all about confronting uncertainty with optimism, ingenuity, and creativity. It is about getting out of comfort zone and venturing into new horizon and experimenting new environment. I want to inspire other people so that they can also pursue the American dream. I have deep desire to give back to our country and to our community.
Frank, let me ask you this. Before you joined us, I was speaking in the last half hour with the former chairman of the Libertarian Party of Virginia, and we were just talking about how, big businesses and the leaders in certain industries write laws that stifle competition and benefit themselves. I'm sure that in your career, and you must have seen this kind of thing in action, that it's harder and harder for new businesses to make it in America, to get into the market, because the big boys keep them out, and they collude with government and legislators to benefit themselves at the price of the free market. That we really don't have a free market. We have a market that benefits established players.
That is a true statement, and I work in the government contracting business quite I understand the pain and agony of competing against a large corporation like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman. That has been very difficult. But my recommendation to the government has been that we need to do what we can to unleash the potential of the small business. Once again, we need to become a hotbed for small businesses. Small businesses created a job with this country, not large businesses. 95% GDP in this country is dependent on small business. And you know what? Small business cannot access any credit right now from the bank. It's impossible for them to get any money. And that's one of the reasons the administration has put together the small business bill, and I think we ought to pass that bill. I know it's going to increase our deficit, but it's important for us to spur some economic growth because small businesses are hurting right now.
Frank Islam, co-author of the new book, Renewing the American Dream, A Citizen's Guide for Restoring Our Competitive Advantage. So, Frank, if there's one final message you want to leave with people, just want to give you an opportunity to share that.
Well, I would say that the stimulus package has not created any job. It has not provided the middle class the opportunity they deserve. And what it did is bail out the big banks and the big corporations. We need to stay away from federal spending, and we need to take care of middle America, and we need to reignite the manufacturing sector.
There you go. Frank, thank you for being with us. I appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Charlottesville Right Now with Coy Barefoot. Charlottesville Right Now is broadcast live Monday through Friday on News Radio 1070 WINA from 4 to 6 p.m. Best-selling author and historian Coy Barefoot is the host and producer. To interact with Coy and his guests, you can call 434-977-1070. Coy can be reached at barefoot@wina.com. This audio download has been made possible by the Charlottesville Podcasting Network. Visit cvillepodcast.com for more.